the reason why no sane person should ever believe what Maxwell Chikumbutso is saying is because this scam is playing out like every single other free energy scam that has ever existed since the start of the Industrial Revolution. If you look at how
Okay.
free energy scams work, they always begin in the same way. They always
Okay.
have the same story, the same theme. Just like, you know what? If I told you a story about a boy who suddenly is told by a mentor that he has superpowers and he goes off and fights evil and one day restores balance to the world, you would know you were watching epic fantasy. And if I told you a story about two people who met under strange circumstances and despite weird things happening to them, they found love, you'd know that's a romantic comedy. And if I tell you the beats of a free energy scam, it's always the
It's
same.
got a signature. It's got a signature. I
God is
got you.
signature.
You got
Yeah. So it's always an engineer from unconventional backgrounds, usually without
Well,
some
anyway,
kind of
okay.
training.
Oh,
He usually has some kind of spiritual revelation or some kind of unintentional discovery. There's a moment of self-doubt where he tests the invention under private conditions. There's always demonstrations, but
hmm?
never independently,
Hmm.
never to the
Pastor
public.
Doje de Tito, over Muduru,
Guys, can you hear me? There's someone else talking in the background.
No,
I can.
go on.
Yeah,
I've put
can you
him on
mute that other
silent.
guy? I'll let him talk later. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it always plays out. They always say, they blame the scientific establishment. They say the scientific establishment isn't ready for the kinds of revelations that we are going to teach. They always claim that the establishment is going to threaten us. We're under threat. We are going to be killed if our revelation goes out because what we're doing is too damn disruptive, too dangerous to the big oil, big wind, big solar. And then they always, at the end, they always seek direct funding from the consumers. And why is it that they're not going to investors with energy sector expertise? Why are they always going to people like you and me who aren't physicists, who aren't energy generation experts? They always say the same excuse. It's because the engineers have been educated stupid, and the engineers don't have the intellectual free will anymore because of the stifling education that they've been through. So the things that change, the time changes, the personalities change, the country changes.
can
Sometimes
anyone
it,
hear me? I don't know.
Oh my God.
We, we,
Could you let Mr. Wilson finish, please?
yeah. Can we mute this other guy? I'm sure he has something interesting to say, but let me say my bit, and then I'll clear out, and I'll let you have a discussion. Is that all right? Is that all right, Chris? Can we do
yeah,
that?
continue. Talk that matters. I'll let you
Yeah,
know
so
and we
so
speak.
that's what I think. So what I'm telling you is the reason why we know what Maxwell says is a scam has nothing to
Mm-hmm.
do with the physical details, right? Because Maxwell hasn't told us any physical details of how his invention works. The only
Right.
invention the only details he's told us, he says that it works by amplifying radio frequency radiation.
RF.
But yeah,
Right.
but like now we have that invention already. It's called a lens. If you have a
Right.
lens, it
Wait.
takes radiation and it focuses it onto a point. But a lens is not a over unity invention. A lens is like all human artifacts. It is an inefficient machine. So you can take some energy and concentrate it, but it is not 100% efficient because the lens itself is warm. Some energy is always wasted. You cannot make a perpetual motion machine. You cannot make an over unity machine in the way that Maxwell describes. Now, I'll tell you one more thing, one more reason. The reason why we know that this is a scam and not a real invention. And this, once again, this does not require any knowledge at all of science or engineering or product engineering or how machines are made. This relies
Right.
on our knowledge of how stories are made. So, like we've all have we all seen that film Back to the Future? Remember
Right.
that film
Right.
in the 80s? So Marty McFly goes back in time and he meets Doc Brown, the crazy engineer who's working all on his own on this mad invention, the time machine,
Right.
or let's say,
Right.
for example, Frankenstein, the most famous science fiction story of all time. Dr. Frankenstein, the crazy genius, he's working on a machine that is intended to blur the boundaries between life and death, right? That's a crazy, crazy machine. And in the story, it's one guy who's created this amazing machine all by himself. But now if you look at real inventions, right? No real invention in the whole world has ever worked that way. There is not one single invention where one guy did it all. Like take, for example, the computer, right? The computer we're all using right now. This was the result of like thousands of
It was
people,
years.
yeah, over maybe like before there was the first ever silicon computer, there were computers made of thermionic valves. Before even the first uh, electronic computer using valves, Professor Alan Turing had figured out the mathematics of what computers were. Before even Alan Turing, a bunch of other mathematicians had figured out like the precursors, the logical stuff that he had to figure out. And in order to design the modern computer, a whole bunch of engineering and technical problems had to be solved. So,
Right.
so, so what's going on here is people are confusing engineering reality with science fiction. So in a science fiction story, in science fiction, inventions work backwards. So if you want to tell a story about time travel, you need a time machine. And if you want a time machine, you need a crazy, mad scientist inventor who invents the time machine. And the idea of that inventor character in a film is that he personifies the moral quandaries related to that invention. So Doc Brown is the character in the film who's initially excited to use his time machine, and then later through the film, he realizes that he's made a terrible mistake and he's about to alter history. That's the purpose of the mad scientist in a film. Or let's say Dr. Frankenstein, he has this big curiosity. He wants to make this amazing discovery. And then in doing so, right, in order to make the monster, there has to be a machine. In order for the machine, there has to be the scientist. And the scientist's role in the film is to be somebody that we react to and empathize with, and we understand his struggle, right? But in the real world, it doesn't work like that. Now, if you look at the story of Maxwell Chikumbutso, what is he most like? Is he like an inventor in science fiction, in stories, where machines have a singular inventor whose purpose is to be a personification of the moral values of that device? Or does he look like the guy who invented USB ports in Intel, right? And he was the head of a research group that had 50 engineers, and they were working on like 30 years of prior technology. It's clearly the former, isn't it? Maxwell Chikumbutso is a science fiction inventor. He's not a real inventor because nothing he does behaves like a real invention. There's no history of his invention. In fact, he even claims that his invention was revealed to him by God, that he
And
woke
by
up
God,
one day.
I remember.
Yeah,
That
he
I
claimed.
remember. I remember. He said it was a divine blah blah blah. Yeah.
Hello?
And if you ever heard of
Can you guys hear me?
can you imagine like some Formula One engineer said, yeah, we redesigned the fueling intake system. I didn't use a computer simulation of thermodynamics. It came
Hello?
to me one morning. It came from God. Right? When does that happen? That's just not how anything is ever invented in the whole history of humanity, is it?
As far as I know, no.
No. So what are we to believe? That for the first, okay, also, let's just put this into perspective as well, because I, scientists the world over for the entire history of since the Industrial Revolution have been seeking more sources of energy. If we could have a more efficient source of energy, then we would clearly take it. If you could do better than the sun, the fusion energy of the sun, which is one of the biggest research projects right now, how you can collapse particles of hydrogen to make helium, and in doing so, release vast amount of energy in some kind of fusion reactor. If we had that technology, we wouldn't need oil. We wouldn't need fusion
Right.
reactors. We wouldn't need to. Right. Okay.
Right.
So
But
the world.
at the end of the day, when it comes to something like nuclear energy, it's doing all that amazing stuff, but really all it's doing is giving you heat so it can make steam.
Right. So the point is, though, that the best technology we have today, the most intense source of energy that is available, that we all agree exists for real, is a nuclear fission reactor. It splits uranium into lighter elements, and in doing so,
So
that releases
it can move something else just to generate
right.
steam.
Yeah, it generates.
That's
Well, it
it.
heats a
That's it.
coolant like
Okay.
People
salt.
talk,
So
for example, people talk about nuclear submarines. People think that it's this magical box on a submarine. Guess what? It's a bunch of metal inside of a more metal that's generating steam. So
Okay,
that
but
steam will propel the
yeah.
submarine.
So my
That's
point on that
all
one though is
it's
that
doing.
I you know
For
if
me,
there was a
can
sort
I
of
can I?
can I
technology sorry,
can I pause you? Can I stop you for a moment?
look
Means
at
nothing.
it means nothing. It's pure technobabble. And if you actually look at how real inventions come, what happens is a scientist discovers a thing like one day some scientists working in Los Alamos discovered the thermoelectric effect, and then some guy in New York thinks, hey, you know what? If sunlight hitting the right shaped piece of silicon can do that, maybe I can make a machine that covers my whole rooftop and generates a small
Right.
amount of it, right? And that was the first solar
This is
cell.
true.
So he was
This is true.
his in,
A lot of times you want to see how it can serve you.
exactly well his invention was inspired by a real scientific discovery. So that's what I mean. Remember what I said before. In science fiction, inventions go backwards, right? It's the story you want to
Right,
tell
right.
decides the machine we need to have a story. So if we want to tell a story about free energy, we need a free energy machine. The free energy
Yep.
machine needs an inventor, but the free energy machine would also have to work if it was real based on some scientific principles. But
So
because the writer
let,
of this story
let me cut
isn't very
let me cut
oh,
you for a minute. We have this comment from Romeo Norima is from Zimbabwe. He says that we can just fly to Zimbabwe and see it. I'm just wondering, have you seen it? Like for you, have you been able to see it since you're in Zimbabwe?
I have not been able to see this invention. So as far as I'm aware, nobody has seen this invention. So I don't think
He
if I
showed a box. He had a box up, like holding it close to him, and apparently that the invention was in that box. It
right.
looked like the tower of a computer. You know.
But the critically thing about it is if you look at Maxwell's videos, the invention looks completely different in every single video. I challenge you to find two different versions that look the same. There's literally nothing consistent about it. So I don't think it would be worth coming to Zimbabwe because I don't think Maxwell Chikumbutso is going to invite me to look at his product because I,
Ah,
He says
I,
that he did see it. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you
I don't think
sure you're
Maxwell
not?
Chikumbutso watches my channel, and I don't think he is going to invite me to ever look at his product. That's just not the way. Typically, that's
Okay.
not how cameras work.
Can I make some point? Can I add some point? I think the way we see things.
Ironwork. If you discovered a hoard of treasure somewhere near your house, right? What are you going to do? You're going to scoop up the treasure, or are you going to tell the world, "Hey guys, I found a load of treasure here. Wait, get a look at that. Wow, that's gold on the floor, isn't it?" What would you do? Would you take the treasure, or would you shout your head off and add? Of course, you're going to take the treasure, right? What
Yeah,
Maxwell is doing.
minor steel. Man of Steel, you're so right about that. I think the pattern of Mr. Maxwell is that of a scammer
Yeah,
because since 9 years ago, there's nothing. We have not seen anything tangible, no product on the market.
nothing.
Or the thing, the way he goes about it is very fishy. Even Mr. Foster Gamble, whom he used to market his product, that Mr. Foster Gamble
Foster
came from the
Gamble is
United
100%
States.
crazy. Foster Gamble
Yeah,
is
no,
the
no,
most
no,
dangerous
Odin.
people on earth.
Yeah, Odin, right? Yeah, Mr. I'm sorry about that, but Mr. Foster Gamble even said Mr. Maxwell can be a tough guy to work with. He has not been able to prove or show to him one of the people whom he claimed have bought his product. He has been unable to send one person that has bought the product for him to speak with. Just come on, just imagine that. Imagine
So,
that.
so the
That's
short
one of the
version is
reasons.
there is zero evidence. There is nothing,
So
Yeah,
not one thing.
does it mean? Does it
yeah,
mean? Does it?
he's right.
Does it mean you
but
guys
that
don't
doesn't
trust?
mean.
Wait, Chris, I can't
Does
hear
it
you.
mean you guys don't trust what Foster Gamble said about Maxwell
Foster
in that
Gamble
movie?
is a
Yeah,
complete lunatic.
We
go ahead, go
Yeah,
not
ahead.
Force again. Well,
but
I've
that
never even heard of him, but
but
I'd
that
love to
doesn't
see
mean
whatever this
but that
evidence
doesn't
is.
mean
I've got
there's
to
no
see
free
it.
energy.
Whatever this evidence,
Go ahead,
like
Ionok.
I got to see the evidence. Like yeah, I've got to see the evidence. We've got to see this evidence. You're making these claims. They sound great. They sound good, but they also don't sound like they hold water unless you could provide the evidence. It's the evidence. Like you could talk all day, but without that evidence, we're not going anywhere. You
Right?
understand?
So
Like
that's
you're
Yeah,
not
so
going to
yeah,
that's
yeah.
change Steel
Uh,
Mind's mind, and you're not.
So
for
We're
people
not
to get
moving any needle.
yeah, you're right. You're
Ionok,
right.
I'm sorry.
I know that you are saying
Go
that
ahead.
you believe in Maxwell's technology. Does it mean these guys are convincing you to believe otherwise or what?
No, no, no. Like I understand their points, and I believe that their points are totally valid. I'm not saying that
Ye-
they're wrong. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying based off of circumstances that I've seen myself as well. Like I agree on both sides, and I'm pulling for Maxwell, but without this evidence, like we can't do anything. Whether you think he's a
Yeah,
scammer or you don't
exactly.
think he's a scammer, we need that evidence. We need what he claims that he has. We need to see it. We need to see it in action. Well, you know
so
what would have worked is if he filmed.
My
You know what
man,
would have worked
let
is
me
if he
create a
filmed.
chain.
Hold up. You know what would have worked is if he filmed. If he filmed the car going from Zimbabwe to Cairo, like he promised, he
Ironwork,
didn't fulfill that
he
promise.
didn't need to do that. He could have just filmed a car going
Yeah.
round and round a track, right? All we needed to see was a
Right, right,
car,
of course.
and
Sure,
but
sure, sure.
he just invented silly reasons why he couldn't do the
Oh,
experiment. He said,
Right.
guys, I forgot. Mr. Haynes de los Santos actually made a car that runs on this radio frequency. You can
Ah,
check it out. Yeah, yeah, you
we
can
never
check it
saw
out
it.
and see. But Odin, I want to create a chain of thought here. Uh, Number one, when I spoke with Mr. Maglo and his team,
right.
Mr. Owen, the PR director, told me that they have not started selling this product to anyone. But Mr. Foster Gamble replied to the email of Mr. Chris Wabs that Mr. Maxwell have been unable to give a contact of someone that he claimed that has bought the product for
But yeah,
him to
Mm,
review or speak
yeah.
with. Okay,
I
hold
hear
on.
you, man.
So
You told us that what we already know, which is that nobody
right.
has seen the product. You don't need to say
There
it
we
10
go.
ways. I heard it the first time. Nobody has
yeah,
validated the product. So I'm going to go in 1 minute. I'm just going to reiterate the points, right? When you have a scam like this, you can't infer anything at all from what you do not see. So we don't have the specifications of the product. We don't know how it allegedly works. We don't have any underlying scientific principle. So what can you conclude from that? Well, the answer is nothing. But what you can see is you see the structure of the story, you see the way the product springs out of the story from nothing. You see that it seems to work on no scientific principles that anyone has. So you have to say, with the evidence that we have, what does this look like? Does it look like a real
It looks
invention,
like
or does it look like a science fiction invention, right? In science fiction, inventions come from nowhere, they serve a story point, and they don't have to work on any. Like, what scientific principles did Frankenstein's reanimation machine work on? The answer, none, because it didn't need any. It is powered only by the engine of plot, right? What principle
yep.
does a computer work on? About 5,000 of them. Individual
Yeah.
inventions discovered over 150 years of science, technology, and mathematics. That's the difference. What does it look like? Is it science fiction or is it real? Any child can tell the difference if you just realize that science doesn't happen the way it happens in movies and storybooks. And with that, Chris, thank you very much, sir, for letting me onto your show. I appreciate it. I've been watching your channel for a long time, and I do hope, Chris, do email me, because I think maybe I want to do a lot more coverage of, and ironwork as well. Thank you so much for being allowing me to join your discussion. And you, sir, I forgot your name, but
You as well, brother. Thank you, man.
yeah, let's
Okay,
talk.
matters. Yeah.
I want to do some more coverage of Maxwell Chikumbutso, mainly because it's a very funny story.
Uh, I
Yeah,
just
we
hope.
do.
I
Actually,
just wish.
he
I
is.
just wish. You know. Yeah. I just hope that this isn't a scam. I would just
It's a
hope.
scam.
I'm
See you later,
hoping
guys.
I'm pulling from.
100% a scam.
Yeah.
Bye
See
bye,
you, man.
everyone. Love you guys.